Hi everyone, my name is Sajeev Thevaratnam. My student number is 22061921 and I'm here to talk about my USB rubber ducky exercise for the computer network security module. So both these attacks, they demonstrate initial access, execution of some kind of code, persistence, and privilege escalation of some kind, and or de-escalation and evading defense. These all map to MITRE-ATT techniques in the MITRE-ATT matrix for Enterprise version 15, April 2024. You can see that here. They both attacks, they both provide malicious actors access to the entire filing system, and I'm also going to demonstrate persistent access. So a couple of assumptions before I start. So reconnaissance of the target and the target terminal was carried out beforehand. So somehow I would know what target environment I'm going to design my rubber ducky attack for. And specifically for the Windows 10 attack that I'm going to demonstrate in a bit, the target is a user with admin privileges, so it only works when a user is admin. The username of the victim was acquired beforehand, so either probably through social engineering or phishing. So if a corporation uses a similar format usernames like first name dot last name, then great. If I find that out, then I could guess what their username is. Then the attacker knows when the victim is likely to be away, so i.e. lunchtime or break time, and the attack could be like you could RDP into the terminal when the victim is away. So possible objectives for the attacker, so both persistent access, so for the Ubuntu attack, persistent access is achieved through cron job, and the same for Windows, but through a Discord, webhook, and task scheduler combination. So for the Ubuntu attack, it's basically a reverse shell that allows persistent access to the victim's file system. The confidentiality of information of the information within the file systems are compromised because I can access whatever the victim can access, and if I could access whatever the victim can access, then the integrity of the information is also compromised because I could also write and amend. Availability, and that's also compromised as well because I have the same access as the victim and I could deny service, so it could be considered as a denial of service attack. I could escalate privileges and traverse the network. I could exfiltrate data. I could access the bash history and password files. I could also discover different vulnerabilities within the system and download and deploy malicious payloads to exploit that system even further. Same for the Windows attack. It's basically a remote desktop similar to a reverse shell, but I'm using a Discord webhook and to send an IP address to my server and RDPing in, and I'm going to use it for persistent access. CIA is also compromised in the same way as a Ubuntu attack. I could also traverse across the network and exfiltrate data and download and deploy malicious payloads as well onto the victim's system. So attack 1 target environment is Windows 10. I'm going to demonstrate this now. So yeah, this is my Windows 10 target environment. So here, text box to show this is a victim's machine, and you can tell the difference between the victim's and the attacker's machine by the difference in wallpaper. And you can see that later on, but just want to specify that now. What I'm doing here, this is the victim's documents, right? If I just create files here, then if I could see these files later on, then I have achieved access, right? So secret file 1, 2, and 3, and I'm saving this to the victim's documents folder now, as I'm demonstrating there. Here, this is the task scheduler, and the only task schedules are Microsoft Edge and OneDrive tasks. And this is the Windows firewall. So if I look down inbound rules, and if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you won't be able to see any rule that's called RDP. I'm just showing this now because I will be creating a rule in the attack. And same for the outbound rule, you won't be able to, you can't see like an RDP rule here as well. Yep, here are the accounts on the system. So this is S2-Thevaratnam and it's an administrator, and there's no other account on the system here. Now, shortly, I will be plugging in my USB and starting the attack. Here we go, connect to a virtual machine. So first thing it's going to do is activate the run command and then open up PowerShell as an administrator. And I do have like a command where I have a Discord webhook, and I will be basically getting the IP address of the machine and sending it to that Discord server. So that's the first thing it does. So basically I get the IP address of the system. Right, exit. I'm going to run control panel and then access the remote access settings. and then I will switch on allow remote connections to this computer and uncheck that box. If that box was checked, so apply as well, but if that box was checked, then if I RDP in, I would have to wait for the victim to approve the connection. This I don't have, it just times out and I can still get in. This is Windows Firewall. What I'm doing is creating a new rule, opening up a port 3389, allowing the connection, and I'm going to call this RDP. So this is the inbound rule that I've just created, allowing the RDP rule, which is opening up the port 3389 inbound connection. Same again, Windows Firewall, outbound rule, creating a new rule, that's an outbound rule. It's going to be port, open up port 3389 again, and allowing the outbound connection. Call that RDP as well. Yep. So this thing is just going to open up PowerShell again and opening it as a administrator. First thing is I'm going to save the same script or command rather that I used at the beginning, which would be to get the IP address of the machine and send it to my Discord address, Discord server. Sorry, I'm going to save that to a variable called script content. Next thing is going to be file path, which is another variable, which is the file path of the PowerShell script that I want to save that command to, and then compile it so that PowerShell script can run that command. Next thing I'm going to do is open up a new scheduled task on task scheduler. Basically, the trigger is at logon, and I'm going to run this PowerShell script. So every time that person logs on, it will send me the IP address of the machine. Next, I'm going to add a new user because I've got admin rights. The victim has admin rights. Add new user John Doe 7 with the password. Give that user admin rights, and also share the victim users folders. Right, yeah, so user folders. Right, okay, cool. So I should now be showing you my Discord, and here we go. As I just said, the IP address was sent, and you can check the timestamps. So it was just sent. This is the attacker's machine. You can see the difference in wallpaper here, right? So I'm the attacker now. I'm going to remote desktop in. If I expand this further, go back to my Discord and copy the IP address. There we go. So this is the IP address of the victim's machine. Copy it there. Expand this further. The username is John Doe 7. Like, remember, this is an account that I've just created, so I know the username and I know the password. John Doe 7, and the password is password as I set it. And yeah, so basically, ideally, it's like what I said previously, like, ideally, you wouldn't do this attack while the attacker's away from the terminal. So if they're on their lunch break or extended break, because basically this prompt goes to the victim's machine and it would say allow the connection or block the connection. But if you don't action any of those commands, then it defaults to me RDPing in anyway, because I've unchecked that box in the remote access settings earlier. It times out in around 20 seconds or so. So that spinny wheel is a good indication that it's coming close to that 20 seconds. Should be able to see the victim machine. There we go, victim machine wallpaper. So I'm in the victim machine now. I have successfully RDP'd in, and I can show you that by going to documents. Oh, sorry, not those documents. If I go on to, because I'm on John Doe 7, the new user, if I go onto the user and then local C users s2.11, click OK, then I've got access to that entire folder structure. And here's secret file 1, 2, and 3 that I created earlier. So success. I'll show you going on to public documents that this is a send IP address to Discord PowerShell script that I created in my PowerShell command earlier. Next, I should be showing you the task scheduler. There we go. So previously it was just OneDrive and Microsoft Edge task scheduled, but now you probably see at the bottom, send IP address to Discord. So this is the scheduled task that I created on PowerShell as well to run that PowerShell script. So instead of logging on, I could just click run there. It's much quicker that way, but it is triggered to to do it at logon, and you can see I got the IP address, and you can check the timestamps that I literally just received it when I clicked run. So this is persistent access. Every time the user logs on, I get the IP address. I could just wait for them to go on a break, and I could just RDP in. Here's the users now. So here's John Doe 7 and the victim S2-Thevaratnam. As like I've got admin rights, I could demote their privileges from administrator to standard. So I'm evading defense here. Like, oh, they can't, they won't be able to delete my account or anything like that, and I've got persistent access to their files. So CIA is compromised because I could access their files, I could amend their files, and I could deny them access to their files. Okay, moving on. Okay, so attack number 2, target environment Ubuntu. So this is my Kali Linux machine. I'm the attacker here. I'm opening up terminal, yeah, and I'm going to show you my IP address. So ifconfig, and what I'm highlighting here is my IP address. Apologies if the demonstration is a bit slow, but yeah. Now I'm running the netcat listener command. So netcat listener and specifying the port 4444 and the IP address of the attacker's machine, which is myself, 192.168.2.129. And I've run the command, and you can see I'm listening on that port 4444 that I've just highlighted, and on that IP address as well. Listening, yeah. Now I should be moving over to the victim's machine, and the victim will unknowingly plug in like a USB device with this malicious payload. There we go. Connect to virtual machine. So this is the victim's machine, UE Cyber. And what it would be doing is opening up terminal. There we go. And then edit cron tab. And when it does that, it will just move the text down and go back to the top line. But what it will do is send the command for the reverse shell. But you'll see 5 asterisks at the beginning, and those 5 asterisks mean that it will run every single minute. So if for some reason the reverse shell is severed, yeah, in the next minute it will run again. Saving that to the cron tab now. So since it's running every minute, that's an example of persistent access because like I've always got connection. And you can see there, like there's my command line prompter. Yep. The victim's command line prompter, sorry. Highlighting that there, and I'm going to show you here as well. Nice. Okay. And there's me LSing into their file structure. And you can see I can see all their files, and I could move within their files as well. I could traverse across their file system. Okay, moving on. So possible mitigations. Okay, so attack number 1 for Windows 10. If the USB was plugged in by a standard user, then they won't be able to run because they haven't got admin privileges. They can't run PowerShell with admin privileges, and if you can't run PowerShell with admin privileges, you won't be able to create that second account. So ensure standard users cannot run PowerShell with admin privileges. The second thing is you could probably use AppLocker to prevent the execution of PowerShell scripts. So even if you are admin user, then if you have AppLocker to prevent the execution of PowerShell scripts, then you won't be able to run those commands to send the IP address to the attacker, so they can't RDP in. Also, you could standard thing, password protect your folders as well. Attack number 2, so for Ubuntu, so you could add users and the admin to the etc cron deny file. So basically, this is a list of users that won't be able to edit the cron jobs, right? And you could add the admins onto that because I don't see any reason why admins should have access in the first place. But if they do need to edit cron jobs, then they could easily access the file themselves, remove themselves, and edit cron jobs, and then put themselves back on the list for security measures. You could also application whitelisting of cron jobs, right? Yeah, so only certain applications can run. You could reset your file permissions, so only certain users. So if you are the user and you could lock this file so it's only read by admin, then the information in that file is not compromised. TCP wrapping, so basically ports can only be accessed by certain IP addresses and services, and port knocking is like you open up a port, but you can only open up a port through opening up several other ports in a certain combination, and this is a demonstration of security by obscurity. So those sort of methods you could use to secure your system. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.